"Who's this?" "I think you've got the wrong number," came the response to Willow Warner's frantic text about her grandmother's birthday gift mishap. Willow stared at her phone in horror. She just sent a lengthy, emotional message about forgetting her grandmother's birthday present at the mall to what she thought was her best friend's number. Her cheeks burned with embarrassment as she quickly typed back, "I'm so sorry. I thought I was texting my friend Olivia. Just got a new phone and must have mistyped her number." 3 dots appeared immediately, indicating the stranger was typing. "No problem. Hope you find the gift. Grandmothers are important." Something about the simple kindness in those words made Willow pause before putting her phone away. On impulse, she replied, "Thanks for understanding, having a mini crisis here." The response came quickly. "What kind of gift did you leave behind?" "A vintage brooch from this tiny antique shop. My grandmother collects them. The shop's closed now and her party's tomorrow." "Which mall?" Willow hesitated. Should she be sharing this information with a stranger? But there was something disarming about this conversation. "Westfield. The shop's called Yesterday's Treasures. I know the owner. I could make a call." Willow's eyebrows shot up. "Seriously? You do that for a complete stranger?" "Sometimes strangers are just friends we haven't met yet." Willow smiled at the cheesy line. "That's either really sweet or the beginning of a horror movie. I promise I'm not an axe murderer. Just someone who appreciates the importance of grandmother gifts." Zane Lawson set his phone down on his mahogany desk and smiled. He'd been in the middle of reviewing acquisition documents for his latest tech company purchase when the text came through. Something about the panic in the stranger's message had made him pause his work. It was refreshing, unfiltered, honest emotion in a world where everyone around him calculated their every word. He picked up his private line and dialed a number from memory. "Gerald, it's Zane. I need a favor at your shop." He explained the situation, using his considerable influence to arrange for the shop to be opened specially. After hanging up, he messaged the unknown number again. "Your brooch is safe. The shop owner, Gerald, will open specially at 8 a.m. tomorrow. Just tell him you're the grandmother emergency." Willow couldn't believe what she was reading. She'd been pacing her small apartment, mentally preparing to face her grandmother empty-handed. "Are you serious? How did you? Who are you?" "Just someone who knows people. Gerald's a good guy. He says the brooch is beautiful. Your grandmother has excellent taste." "I can't believe you did this. Thank you so much. I owe you one." "No need. Pay it forward someday." Willow hesitated, then typed, "I'm Willow, by the way." A moment passed. "Zane. Nice to meet you, Willow." The next morning, Willow hurried to the antique shop. True to the stranger's word, Gerald was waiting with her carefully wrapped brooch. "Your friend must be very influential," Gerald said with a mysterious smile as he handed over the package. "He wouldn't tell me how he knows you." "He's not exactly a friend." Willow began, then stopped herself. How could she explain this bizarre situation? "Well, whoever he is, he must think highly of you. I don't open early for just anyone, not even when Zane Lawson asks." Willow's eyes widened. "Zane Lawson, the tech billionaire." Gerald looked confused. "You didn't know?" Willow shook her head slowly. "We've never actually met. It was a wrong number situation." Gerald chuckled. "Well, that makes it even more interesting, doesn't it?" Willow left the shop in a daze, the brooch secure in her purse. She pulled out her phone and stared at the text thread. She'd been messaging with Zane Lawson. The Zane Lawson whose face had been on the cover of Fortune magazine last month. "Just wanted to let you know I got the brooch. My grandmother's going to be thrilled. I still can't believe you did this for me." His response came as she was boarding the bus to her grandmother's retirement community. "Glad I could help. How's the birthday party planning going?" Something about his continued interest made her smile. She found herself telling him about her grandmother's milestone 80th birthday, the small gathering of family and friends, and her grandmother's passion for vintage jewelry. Throughout the day, they continued messaging. Zane asked thoughtful questions about her family, and Willow found herself sharing stories about her grandmother's adventurous youth as a traveling nurse. In return, he told her about his own grandmother who had passed away 5 years ago. By the time evening came, Willow was curled up on her couch, still texting with this fascinating stranger. She'd Googled him, of course finding images of a striking man with dark hair and intense blue eyes who'd built a tech empire from scratch. But the articles depicting a ruthless businessman didn't match the thoughtful, funny person in her messages. "So, do you rescue all wrong number texters, or am I special?" She typed boldly. "Definitely special. Most wrong numbers don't involve desperate granddaughter emergencies." Willow laughed out loud. "Well, thank you again, you saved the day." There was a pause before his next message appeared. "Would it be completely inappropriate if I asked to meet you properly? Coffee, perhaps?" Willow's heart skipped a beat. Was Zane Lawson, billionaire tech mogul, asking her out? "I'd like that," she replied before she could overthink it. "Great. Tomorrow, 3 p.m. at Bluebird Cafe," Willow agreed, then immediately panicked about what to wear. She called her best friend Olivia, who shrieked in disbelief at the story. "You're going on a date with Zane Lawson, the guy who bought that social media platform for billions last year, from a wrong number text." "It's not a date," Willow insisted. "He's probably just curious about the random person who texted him." "Willow, he used his billionaire powers to open a store for you, then texted all day. Then asked you to coffee. That's a date." Willow chewed her lip nervously. "What do I even wear?" The next day, Willow arrived at the cafe 10 minutes early, dressed in her favorite blue sundress and light cardigan. She'd settled for an outfit that made her feel confident, but wasn't trying too hard. As a kindergarten teacher, her wardrobe wasn't exactly filled with clothes suitable for meeting billionaires. She recognized him immediately when he walked in. Tall, with broad shoulders and that distinctive jawline from the magazine covers. But the media images hadn't captured the warmth in his eyes or the slightly crooked smile. He was wearing jeans and a simple button-down shirt, dressed down compared to his formal business attire in photos. He spotted her and approached with a certainty that came from a lifetime of confidence. "Willow," he asked, extending his hand. "It's nice to meet you properly." His handshake was firm but gentle, and Willow felt a flutter in her stomach. "Thank you again for your help with the brooch." "My grandmother loved it." They ordered coffee, and any awkwardness quickly dissolved into easy conversation. Zane was attentive and asked thoughtful questions about her teaching job. "I've always admired teachers," he said. "You're shaping the future in the most direct way possible." Willow smiled. "It's not as glamorous as running a tech empire, but I love it. Those little aha moments when a child finally understands something are priceless." "That's exactly it," Zane nodded enthusiastically. "It's those moments that matter, right? Not the scale of what you're doing, but the impact." As they talked, Willow kept waiting for the moment when he'd reveal himself to be arrogant or entitled, but it never came. Instead, she discovered a man who was passionate about innovation but also deeply thoughtful about its impacts. He spoke about his companies not in terms of profits, but in terms of problems solved and lives improved. 2 hours passed in what felt like minutes. When Zane finally glanced at his watch, he looked genuinely disappointed. "I hate to cut this short, but I have a conference call with Tokyo in 30 minutes. "Of course," Willow said, suddenly reminded of the vast difference in their worlds. "This was nice." Zane hesitated, then asked, "Could we do this again, maybe dinner this time?" "I'd like that," Willow replied honestly. Over the next few weeks, they continued seeing each other. Zane took her to small, intimate restaurants where they could talk without interruption. He listened intently to her stories about her students and shared his own challenges managing thousands of employees worldwide. Willow was surprised by how normal it felt to be with him. Despite his wealth, he was down to earth and genuinely interested in her life. He showed up at her tiny apartment with takeout when she mentioned being too tired to cook after parent-teacher conferences. He remembered details about her family and friends, but there were reminders of their different worlds. Dinner reservations that materialized at fully booked restaurants. the security detail that discreetly followed them, the occasional paparazzi photo that appeared online with speculation about Zane's mystery woman. One evening, 2 months into their relationship, Zane took her to a rooftop restaurant overlooking the city. After they ordered, he seemed unusually tense. "Everything okay?" Willow asked, reaching for his hand across the table. "There's something I need to tell you," he said, his expression serious. "I've been offered a major opportunity. A partnership with European tech firms that could revolutionize clean energy solutions." "That sounds amazing," Willow said, though she sensed there was more. "It would mean spending significant time in Europe over the next 6 months, at least a week each month, sometimes more." "Oh," Willow said, trying to hide her disappointment. "That's a big change. I know it's a lot to ask, especially since we've only been seeing each other for a couple of months, but—" He took a deep breath. "I want you to come with me whenever you can. School breaks, weekends sometimes. I'll fly you over. We can make it work." Willow was stunned. "You want me to come to Europe? I know it's soon, but these past months have been the happiest I've had in years. When I'm with you, I'm just Zane, not the CEO or the billionaire. Just a guy who got a wrong number text and found someone special." Willow felt tears spring to her eyes. "I feel the same way, but—" "But what?" Zane squeezed her hand. "Our worlds are so different, Zane. You live in this international, high-powered reality, and I teach kindergarten. I grade finger paintings and tie shoelaces all day. And that's exactly why you're so important to me," Zane said earnestly. "You remind me of what matters. Real people, real impact, not just numbers on a spreadsheet." Willow considered his words. "I'd need to work around my teaching schedule." "Of course, I wouldn't ask you to compromise your career. That's important to you, and therefore it's important to me." The sincerity in his eyes made her heart melt. "Then yes, I'll come visit you in Europe." Their relationship deepened over the following months. Willow used school holidays to join Zane in Paris, Berlin, and Stockholm. She explored European cities while he attended meetings. Then they'd spend evenings discovering local restaurants and hidden gems together. The long-distance arrangement wasn't always easy. There were missed calls due to time differences and lonely nights. But each reunion was sweeter for the separation. During one of his returns to the States, Zane invited Willow to his home for the first time, a modern mansion overlooking the coast. Despite its grandeur, the house felt oddly impersonal. "It doesn't really feel like you," Willow observed as he gave her the tour. Zane looked around thoughtfully. "You know, you're right. I bought it because it's what someone in my position is expected to have, but it's never felt like home." "What would feel like home to you?" she asked. The question seemed to surprise him. "I've never really thought about it. I've been so focused on building companies that I never considered what I actually want in a home." That night, they sat on his balcony under the stars, and Zane shared stories about his childhood growing up middle class, his father's bankruptcy, working multiple jobs through college, and the early days of struggling to launch his first company. "People see the success, but they don't see the years of failure that came before," he said. "I was practically living in my car at one point." "Is that why you work so hard now?" Willow asked gently. Zane was quiet for a moment. "Partly, but I think there's more to it. A fear that if I stop pushing forward, everything will disappear." "That sounds exhausting," Willow said, nestling closer to him. "It was, until I met you." He kissed the top of her head. "You've shown me there's more to life than the next deal or acquisition." As their one-year anniversary approached, Zane seemed increasingly distracted during their video calls. Willow tried not to worry, but doubt crept in. Was he losing interest now that the novelty had worn off? When he canceled their anniversary dinner due to an emergency meeting, Willow's insecurities bubbled over. She spent the evening alone in her apartment, wondering if their fairy tale was ending. The next morning, a courier delivered a small package to her door. Inside was a first-class plane ticket and a note. "I'm sorry about yesterday. Please come, I need to see you." Bewildered but hopeful, Willow packed a bag and headed to the airport. Hours later, she found herself in a car driving along a coastal road she didn't recognize. "Where exactly are we going?" she asked the driver. "Mr. Lawson's instructions were to bring you directly to him, madam." The car turned onto a tree-lined drive leading to a charming farmhouse overlooking the ocean. It was beautiful but modest compared to Zane's mansion, a two-story home with a wraparound porch and colorful flower gardens. Zane was waiting on the porch steps. When she stepped out of the car, he rushed to her, enveloping her in a tight embrace. "I'm sorry about yesterday," he murmured into her hair. "The timing couldn't have been worse." "Where are we?" Willow asked, pulling back to look at the house. "Monterey, about 2 hours south of the city." He took her hand, leading her up the steps. "I want to show you something." Inside, the house was warm and inviting, with comfortable furniture and large windows showcasing the ocean view. It felt lived in, personal, so different from his sleek, modern mansion. "This is beautiful," Willow said, turning slowly to take it all in. "Whose house is it?" Zane's eyes were bright with anticipation. "Ours, if you want it to be," Willow froze. "What?" "This is what kept me busy yesterday, closing the deal." He guided her to the window. "You asked me once what would feel like home to me. I've been thinking about that for months." "And the answer is wherever you are." Tears welled in Willow's eyes as he continued. "I know the long-distance thing has been hard, so I'm making changes. I'm restructuring the company, delegating more. The European project is stabilized now, so I'll only need to go quarterly. I'm opening a philanthropic foundation focused on education, and I want to base it here." "You're moving your life for me?" Willow asked, stunned. "I'm rebalancing my life for us," he corrected gently. "This past year has taught me what truly matters, and it's not another billion in the bank. It's this moments with you, building a life together." He reached into his pocket and withdrew a small velvet box. Willow's hand flew to her mouth as he dropped to one knee. "Willow Warner, you texted the wrong number and changed my life forever. You've shown me what happiness really means. Will you marry me?" The ring was stunning, a vintage-style emerald surrounded by diamonds, but Willow barely glanced at it, her eyes locked on Zane's hopeful face. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes, absolutely yes." He slipped the ring onto her finger and stood, gathering her in his arms for a passionate kiss. Later, as they sat on the porch swing watching the sunset, Willow asked, "Did you ever imagine when you got my wrong number text that we'd end up here?" Zane smiled, pulling her closer. "Never. But I knew from that first conversation there was something special about you. The way you cared so deeply about your grandmother's gift, the humor even in your panic. I wanted to know the person behind those words. And now you're stuck with me forever," Willow teased. "That's the plan," he said, kissing her forehead. Their wedding 6 months later was an intimate affair held in the garden of their Monterey home. Willow's kindergarten students served as flower children, scattering petals with enthusiastic abandon. Zane's business associates were surprised by the simple celebration, so different from the lavish events they expected from one of the world's wealthiest men. Willow's grandmother, wearing the vintage brooch that had started it all, beamed as she watched them exchange vows. "I always told you that everything happens for a reason," she whispered to Willow during the reception. "Even wrong numbers." As their first anniversary of marriage approached, Willow and Zane found their rhythm. He had successfully restructured his companies to allow for more personal time while maintaining their growth. His education foundation was flourishing, partnering with schools nationwide, including Willow's, to implement innovative teaching programs. Willow continued teaching, but also found herself increasingly involved with the foundation, bringing her classroom experience to help shape initiatives that would genuinely benefit teachers and students. One evening, as they walked along the beach near their home, Willow handed Zane a small gift box. "What's this for?" he asked, surprised. "Our anniversary isn't for 2 more weeks. Just open it," Willow said, smiling nervously. Inside was a tiny pair of baby shoes. Zane looked up at her, his expression shifting from confusion to wonder. "Are you?" Willow nodded, tears of joy brimming in her eyes. Due in November, he lifted her off her feet in an exuberant hug, spinning her around on the sand. "This is amazing, I'm going to be a father." As he set her down gently, his expression became serious. "I promise you, our child will have the kind of attention and presence my parents couldn't give me. I won't be that CEO who misses every soccer game and school play." "I know you won't," Willow said confidently. "You've already shown me what kind of man you are, one who knows the real value of things." 7 months later, they welcomed Emma Grace Lawson into the world. Zane, who had negotiated billion-dollar deals with unwavering confidence, was completely undone by the tiny fingers that wrapped around his thumb. "She's perfect," he whispered, awestruck. "She is," Willow agreed, watching her husband gently rock their daughter. "Just like the family we've built." As their daughter grew, so did their foundation and its impact. They expanded into international education initiatives, often traveling as a family. Emma's passport filled with stamps before she could walk. On their 5th wedding anniversary, they returned to the cafe where they'd first met in person. The owner recognized them immediately, despite Zane's attempt at a low-key entrance. "The famous wrong number couple," he said with a wink, leading them to a quiet corner table. After he left, Zane raised his coffee cup in a toast. "To wrong numbers and happy accidents." "To taking chances on strangers," Willow countered, clinking her cup against his. "You know," Zane said thoughtfully, "I've been thinking about our story. How many other potential connections are missed every day because people are too busy or scared to respond to the unexpected?" "Are you getting philosophical in your old age?" Willow teased. "Maybe. Or maybe I'm just grateful that I answered that text instead of ignoring it." He reached across the table to take her hand. "One small decision changed everything." "Well, I'm very glad you decided to help a panicking stranger find her grandmother's brooch," Willow said, squeezing his hand. "And I'm very glad you mistyped your friend's number," Zane replied. "Best mistake you ever made." As they left the cafe hand in hand, Willow's phone buzzed with a text from their babysitter, confirming that Emma was happily napping. "Perfect timing," Zane said. "How about we walk through that park where I proposed last year that we start a second foundation?" "Lead the way," Willow replied, leaning into his shoulder as they crossed the street. Behind them, a young woman frantically texted on her phone, not looking where she was going. She bumped into another pedestrian, apologized quickly, and continued typing. Her message sent to the wrong number, as it happened, setting in motion another story entirely. But for Willow and Zane, their wrong number story had evolved into exactly the right life one neither of them had imagined possible before a misdirected text about a grandmother's birthday gift connected a kindergarten teacher with a billionaire who would love her for the rest of their days.